Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel's ban list has, for quite some time, been a topic of a lot of discussion and also its own fair bit of contention among the player base. There are a lot of cards that a lot of people have thought either could never come off the list or have desperately needed to be added at. But these recent unbannings of Nightmare Goblin and Mermaid, as well as my own recent experience with Auroradon and Tomahawk, has led me to question, how deserved are all of these bans? I figured it might be fun to go ahead and take a look through a lot of these restrictions and figure out just how warranted Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel's ban list truly is. Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexalex here. So today I wanted to revisit a topic that I've actually covered on the channel before. We did a video in the past once going through the Master Duel ban list and trying to figure out like, okay, how deserved are each of these hits? But the reason that I wanted to revisit this topic, like I alluded to in the intro there, is that I've kind of had my mind shifted a lot. My mentality about this has shifted a lot recently. I think when we last did a video like this, I actually said that Nightmare, Mermaid, and Goblin were cards that could, like, never ever come back. And I think a lot of that was me buying into the hype that people were kind of building around those cards. One thing about these, like, top 10 banned cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History or Yu-Gi-Oh! Strongest cards throughout history videos that we see a lot of on YouTube is they kind of give the player base this mentality about these banned cards that sort of, I think, skews their perception a little bit. So I kind of want to go through the ban list with a little bit more of a, competitive focused mindset and evaluate, are these cards really truly ban-worthy, or could they come off the list? We'll also go through the limited and semi-limited list as well, just because I think this is a really fun exercise. I actually really enjoy doing this. I did it on stream once as well. And yeah, it's just fun to talk about my thoughts. I know, I'm the person who has been like, there's no point to ban list discussion, but I think this is more an exercise. This is less an exercise, I should say, of, should this card be banned to fix the game, and more, what would be the implications of this card becoming unbanned? What is its power level relative to modern Yu-Gi-Oh? I think it's a worthwhile endeavor, so. Alright, let's go ahead and start right off at the top here. Catapult Turtle. We're going to go from oldest to newest. Catapult Turtle. This is just an FTK tool. I am 100% in favor of FTK tools being banned, even if they're not necessarily the most meta powerful decks. Let's be real, FTKs are what a lot of people would call non-games. I really don't like that phrase because it's really subjective, but it's one of those phrases that is super subjective, but people use it objectively. Really, what a non-game is kind of comes down from, person to person. A lot of people would call games against stun non-games, but I do think there are still interesting decision points you can arrive in a game against stun. Most noticeably using Imperm to shut off their floodgates, I think is actually an incredible test of both patience and mindfulness in my experience. But anyway, games against FTKs, where it kind of depends on if you open a hand trap that can stop them, that I'm a little bit less in favor of. That is to say, I think Catapult Turtle and other cards like it are going to be definitely ban-worthy. I'll point these FTK enablers out when we come across them, but FTK enablers that don't really add anything to competitive value to the meta, like Catapult Turtle didn't enable any strategies, right, besides FTKs, so I think it's fine to ban it. Cyberstein was a relatively recent ban. It's been within Master Duel's lifespan. I think this is fine to ban, honestly. Like, just with Gigantic Sprite being able to pull this out of the deck. Well, I guess to be fair, then you can't summon your big fusion monster, but really just getting it into circulation. I guess more using Sprint to dump this and then Elf to bring it back is, not ideal. I think this card is definitely ban-worthy. Cannon Soldier, this is another FTK enabler because it simply has a simple, like, tribute a monster, deal some burn damage effect. Again, these kind of effects don't really enable any, like, strategies that I would find cool or interesting. Just FTKs. I think this card is ban-worthy. Graceful Charity, holy, we're about to go through a bunch of power spells that are all 100% ban-worthy. Graceful Charity is a disgustingly overpowered card, ban-worthy. Pot of Greed, I don't really think I need to explain why this is definitely ban-worthy. Ultimate Offering, I don't think this is ban-worthy at all. I think this card could come back to 3 and it would be completely fine. During your main phase or your opponent's battle phase is a really awkward time to use this effect, given that it's a continuous trap card. And like, yeah, it's infinite normal summons. Well, I mean, not infinite, you have to pay life points, of course, but I think we're past a point in Yu-Gi-Oh! That this can be really, truly abused like it was in the past. And again, the fact that it's a turn 3 card, because you have to set it on turn 1, and then on turn 3 you can start using it. I guess you could use it during your opponent's battle phase, but that's probably not going to be very useful at that point in time. Yeah, I think this card could come back, probably even to 3, like I said, and it would be completely fine. Last Will, no, this card needs to stay banned. Banned. Confiscation should definitely stay banned. I mean, like... Yeah, this is too much information. I think about how good Triple Tech is, and yeah, this needs to be banned. Oh my god, if Confiscation needs to be banned, this 100% needs to be banned. Same with the Forceful Sentry. Giant Trunade, yep, 100% ban-worthy. Painful Choice, this is arguably the most powerful card in existence, 100% ban-worthy. Cyberjar has actually been coming unbanned in other formats, and yeah, I think this could be at 3 and it would be completely fine. We are long past the days of Empty Jar decking people out and that being like a reliable thing you can do. Yeah, this is completely fine to come back. Imperial Order was actually legal when Master Duel first came out, but thankfully they banned it on, I think, the very first ban list, which, yeah, was very much deserved. Premature Burial needs to stay banned, mostly because you can bounce this and reuse it. It's not once per turn, and the equipped spell leaving the monster doesn't cause it to leave the field. That's why. Also, being an equipped spell makes it very, very searchable. I think those 3 factors are why this card does need to stay banned. Time Seal, this card could come back. I think it would be completely fine. This card might even be legal in TCG and or OCG. But... I mean, I understand the theory of why it's on the ban list, but like at the same time, if Yata-Garasu is fine, this is 100% fine. Card of Safe Return is not 100% fine. This is way too good for a non-once per turn effect. 100% needs to stay banned. Cold Wave, I think definitely needs to stay banned as well. Amazoness Archer, this is another FTK enabler that doesn't really do anything else, even for the Amazon archetype, so yep, that's definitely fine. Jowgen is a very recent addition to the ban list. I think outside of Sanctifier, this card was also potentially ban-worthy. I don't, like, disagree with this inherently. We'll talk about the Sanctifier hits as we get closer to them, but I think this was fine. Fiber Jar, I think this card could come back, but, like, listen, everybody talks about how fun Fiber Jar is, but let me tell you, as somebody who, as a Yu-Gi boomer, who played in tournaments when this card was legal, this card is not fun. This card is a pain in the ass to resolve, and especially if multiple copies, like, if this goes off multiple times in a duel, it becomes such an unfun slog. Ugh. Is this card too powerful? Power level-wise, probably not. Could come back and would be fine. But for sheer, like, fun and accessibility and playability of the game, I think this card should stay banned personally, but I don't think it's too powerful. Smoke Grenade of the Thief, Braver. Power Tool Braver Dragon got this card banned. Don't mind me sitting on my 2 royal copies of this card, but I can't dismantle because it's a legacy pack card, but it's fine. Royal Oppression, yeah, this definitely needs to stay banned. It's like, it's not just a floodgate, it's like, it's a lot worse than that, actually. By a lot worse, I mean a lot worse for the game. I don't know. The fact that either player can do it is like a little bit of a balancing thing in favor of it, but at the same time, it's like, it negates and destroys, too. It's also summons and affects that summon. It's not, and also not being once per turn. Yeah, this card is too good. Last Turn is on the ban list, I think, for a lot of the same reasons that Fiber Jar is. I don't even know if this card and its FTKs would be too strong, but this card is too much of a headache to be worth having legal. Mirage of Nightmare, yeah, I mean, especially in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it would be trivially easy to pop this after drawing 4. I don't know, it is a little slow, though. This is one where it seems obvious, but I actually want to think about it for a second. Once per turn during your opponent's standby phase, draw until you have 4 cards in your hand. If you do, once during your next standby phase after that, randomly discard the same amount of cards you drew, or your entire hand if you do not have enough cards. The main reason why I'm hesitating to say this needs to stay banned is that it's really slow. So, like, let's say you empty out your hand and draw 4 during your opponent's turn. Like, you could find a bunch of hand traps. I guess you could be on, like, Dark World, and then... But, like, okay, even if you're on Dark World and you want to discard your whole hand, that doesn't happen until your next standby phase. That's really slow. And I say there's a lot of ways to pop this, but I totally forgot that you would have to pop it during your opponent's turn, not during yours, which means there are fewer ways to do that. This card might be able to come back, unless there's like an FCK or something that I'm not remembering or thinking of. I feel like this card is slow enough that we could try bringing it back at 1. Because I can't really think of like a modern Yu-Gi-Oh deck I would want to jam a single copy of Mirage of Nightmare into. Again, it's not that I don't want to draw 4 cards, and I don't even mind discarding the same amount. I think in modern Yu-Gi-Oh that's actually can be more of a benefit. But again, for me, it's that this card is really slow to do both of those things. I think this card might be able to come back. There might be an obvious interaction that makes this not okay, and if that's true, definitely feel free to leave that in the comments below. I'd love to know, but I think this one might be fine. Might be. Oh, a trap does shoot. I've actually talked with somebody about this one before. I think I might have actually mentioned this in my last video. I did like this. I think this card could actually come back to 1. Because, like, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of the idea of, like, Solemn Judgment, right? Now, granted, Solemn Judgment has actually seen quite a bit of play recently because of Tenpai, but, like, it's the idea that, like, yeah, you can play these, like, power trap cards, but if they're not searchable, then they're not really reliable to use, right? Like, I think about Trap Dust Shoot coming back to 1, and I'm like, outside of, like, maybe Lab, I don't know if there's any deck I would jam 1 Trap Dust Shoot in, because you would have to open it for it to be good. And not just because, like, oh, your opponent's going to have fewer cards after that. It's like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't last long enough for this to be good outside of going first and opening it. Now, I know a lot of people have been, like, debating if this type of effect... I don't know, well, that's more of getting into the fun, the subjective side of things, right? I just remember seeing some discourse around this type of effect at one point. I remember what it is now. A person I know who likes to say that a lot of things should be banned, and that's kind of all they say, said that triple attack should be banned because this type of trap dust shoot effect isn't, you know, fun, and it's, well, what they said is it's bad game design. What they really mean is that they don't think it's fun. And that's not to say that them not finding it fun isn't valid, but them finding it fun versus it being too powerful are two separate questions. They are not synonymous, and as much as people would like to believe that's true, it's not. From a power level standpoint, I think about Trap Dust Shoot being at 1, I don't think that's that bad. Now, if this card is at 3 and it becomes a lot more accessible to open, then we might have an issue. But I think Trap Dust Shoot could come back to 1 and nobody would play it. Toon Cannon Soldier is an FCK enabler, that's fine to keep banned. Terraforming. I actually think this card should stay banned. This one, I think this one is very debatable though. People who want this card to come back to 1, I don't blame them. I understand it, but when every field spell, not every, of course, literally, but when pretty much every modern field spell is like also a starter for like any given archetype that has one, that's like giving all those, I mean, that is giving all those decks Rhoda, basically, and it's like, that's maybe a bit much. And also there's like, yeah, I mean, even beyond just searching, there are other very powerful things that field spells can do, right? I personally think this card should stay banned, but if you think this card should come back to 1, just know that I don't inherently disagree with you. I completely understand where you're coming from. Metamorphosis. Tribute 1 monster, special summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck with the same level as the tributed monster. I think this could probably come back, right? Like, I mean, all the crazy powerful fusion monsters are getting summoned by their own archetype anyway, right? Like, I'm trying to think of generic fusion monsters. aside from like the old school ones that would be really worth turboing out with this. And like with all these other power cards, it's not a part of an archetype, so it's not searchable. That super matters in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Because if you're trying to make Metamorphosis a part of your combo line, one, all of a sudden now you have a 2-card combo, which in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! 2-card combos got to be really, really good for them to be worth it. To be worth like focusing your deck around, right? And again, one of your combo pieces, Metamorphosis, is not searchable. So like, this is kind of like Trap Dust Shoot, where like this card at 1, I don't think really sees that much play. This card at 3 would see more play, certainly, but I think much like Trap Dust Shoot, you could experiment bringing this back to 1, and I don't think that would be that bad at all. Card of Demise. This actually got banned within Master Duel's lifetime. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about this kind of generic draw effect, is that it's really, at the end of the day, going to benefit... I say it's going to benefit Stun more than anything else. Like, here's the thing. I know I talked earlier about Stun, and how I don't think Stun inherently makes Stun games, but I do think Stun, at a certain point, does get a little bit too consistent, right? And I think Card of Demise definitely helped with that. I mean, if this card came back to 1, I really don't think it would be that big of a deal. But at the same time, I don't think there's that compelling of a reason to bring it back to 1. So I'm fine with it being banned, but I think it could be at 1, it would be fine. Kaiser Coliseum. You know what's really funny is back in like 2005, I was like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With my uncle. Like, he decided to sit down and like, you know, learn the game and play with me. Very cool of him. And I remember I had a Kaiser Coliseum in my deck. You know, keep in mind this is like Playground Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. But I remember resolving Kaiser Coliseum and my uncle being like, isn't that way too strong? That effect seems really, really good. And I was like, I don't know, nobody really plays it, but I guess, maybe. I just think it's really funny that in like 2005, my uncle had the perception that this card should be banned. I mean, at the time, it didn't really need to be, but now it does. Do I think it does? I think so, yeah. This is one of those floodgates where, like, I don't know, the thing about floodgates, especially in MD, but I guess more in general too, is that the individual hits matter less than the critical mass of floodgates available. I actually think that maybe stuff like skill drain should, like, okay, I don't hate Kaiser Coliseum being banned, but I also would have, I think, preferred it if like skill drain got banned and then Kaiser Coliseum was left at 1. Maybe. This one, I feel like, this one is a little more interactable in that, I guess, it's not really though, because your opponent still sets the pace of how many monsters you can have on the field. But if you can remove your opponent's monster with like a spell or trap card or some other kind of non-onboard monster effect, then all of a sudden you can play stuff. I think this one does have at least some amount of gameplay decisions that other floodgates don't offer. But again, I don't mind it being banned. With floodgates, it's less about the hits individually, although not always, and more about the critical mass, I think. So, Magical Scientists, yeah, this definitely needs to stay banned. This is not a once per turn effect, and even if you're not FTKing, the amount of bodies you can make with this is very, very scary. Mass Driver is an FTK enabler. This should 100% stay banned. Butterfly Dagger Elma, unfortunately, doesn't really do much that's that interesting, besides enabling FTKs, so yeah, I think this should stay banned. Dimension Fusion. This card is scary powerful. 100% should be banned. Also, I always thought that DD Warrior's knee was an eyeball here when I was a kid and I saw this card. Just want to point that out. Anyway, Self-Destruct button. Oh my god. So this card decidedly does not win games, but I think necessary to ban this card for being a really, really dumb time waster. I don't know why you would ever print this card. This is a really stupid card. Sixth Sense. Yeah, I don't have to explain this one, right? This one needs to be banned for sure. Return from the Different Dimension. Yeah, I think even as a trap card, this is definitely still too powerful. Is it? Yeah, it is. I think it is. Yeah, no, I think it is. I think we need to keep it banned. This is an FTK enabler, should stay banned. FTK enabler should stay banned. I love Dandelion. I love this card. But this last clause is so, like, of its era. The fact that the only thing you can't do with these tokens is tribute them for a tribute summon. And even then, only during the turn they're summoned. Yeah. As long as Link summoning exists, Dandelion cannot be legal, which is sad. I love this card. Yeah, this is an FTK enabler, so I think it's fine to leave it banned. That's Life Equalizer, by the way. Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. Uniquely among the barrier statues is more accessible in stuff like Fluanderies and Lyrilusk. I think the ban was warranted. Yeah, I think this card even being at 1 is... I don't know. If you're going to ban 1, I kind of think you should ban... Well, I don't know. I was going to say just ban all the barrier statues, but... I don't know. I feel like if... I mean, my whole point was to, like, to avoid a repeat of Stormwinds, but, like, you can just ban those interactions as they come up. I think that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. This should still stay at 0, I think, though. Instant Fusion, yeah, I think this card is just too strong. I think a lot of us agree that this card should be at 0. Grinder Golem, again, as long as Link Summoning exists, this card is probably a little bit too strong. I don't know, is it? That's another one where I was about to accept that it was just too strong, but let's actually stop and think about this for a moment. Cannot be normal summon or set. Must first be special summoned to your opponent's side of the field by summoning 2 grinder tokens. 2 grinder tokens. Is 2 grinder tokens a full combo for, like, anything? I'm sure it is. Well, is it? Hang on. What is... Hang on. Let me see something real quick. Okay, Nightmare Goblin is 2 monsters with different names. I knew they didn't have to be effect monsters, but I wanted to make sure I looked up what the exact restriction was there. So you give your opponent Grinder Golem, you get 2 tokens. You get like the meme. Is 2 Grinder tokens like a full combo into anything? I kind of don't think it is. Okay, so this is one of those ones where, like, I might be missing something, but this is a point I was making earlier about Metamorphosis, right? Like, Grinder Golem giving you 2 free tokens to make plays with sounds really, really powerful. And it might be if there are things you can do that are strong with it that I'm not thinking of. I mean, there is Summon Sorceress, but you can't make Summon Sorceress off the Grinder tokens alone. Also, like, I don't know. Summon Sorceress going into... Is that, like, really that powerful? Like, that would be like doing the Yubel combo line, except now you're just randomly playing Grinder Golem in your deck. Which, okay, in Yubel, this actually would not be that bad. But it wouldn't be a 1-card combo line. That's, like, the thing, right? Oh, wait, the tokens are fiends. Hang on, you can go into Yama. Okay, that might actually be too good. I knew I was missing something there. Let me just double check. Unchained. Yama's just 2 fiend monsters, right? Yes, 2 fiend monsters. Okay. So Grinder Golem is 1-card combo Unchained plays. Alright, so yeah, this should probably stay banned. But, see? This is the exact process that I wanted to undergo. Because I think that we should be challenging these notions of, is this card completely not, I was going to say unplayable, but it's actually the total opposite. Not able to be made legal. Able to be made legal. Yeah, this should probably stay banned. But I think mostly because of Unchained, unless there's other interactions I can't think of. Alright, Cancel Your Mark II is FTK Enabler Mark II. Yep, let's keep it banned. Substitute, oh my goodness, this card needs to stay banned. Not once per turn, not once per turn. Mindmaster, literally, not once per turn, not once per turn. Probably needs to stay banned. This one does cost life points, but it does just still enable FTKs. Tempest Magician is, at the end of the day, an FTK enabler, and I am not opposed to keeping it on the ban list. Ido. Oh, the first Sanctifier ban. I'll be real. I mean, we all... You all know how I feel about this. I don't know why I said I'll be real like I was about to drop a new opinion on you, but... Yeah, Sanctifier should be banned instead of Ido and Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. Okay, so this is something that people say every single time I bring this up, and I'm gonna like completely just outright refute this point. People say all the time, why would you ban Sanctifier and not the Floodgates? People, this is not a floodgate. I don't know how how else to tell you that besides it's not, because it's intended to restrict you and not your opponent. Floodgates are intended to restrict your opponent. Sanctifier, letting you summon any old monster you want from your graveyard to your opponent's field, is the one doing fucked up stuff here. I feel like that's really obvious. I feel like 90% of the Yu-Gi-Oh community gets this, but every now and then, this other 10% hobbles out of their caves. Okay, that's a little mean. To make this point, and it's like, it's so obvious to me why they're wrong. I can't, like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, this is not a floodgate. If you truly think this is a floodgate, then you are intentionally misconstruing the point because you want Sanctifier to be legal. You can just say the words, I like Sanctifier around, I want to keep it legal. That's a valid opinion to have. You don't have to, like, we don't have to bend the rules and definitions of our terms just to, like, try to make our point sound more objective. That really, I hate, I hate when people do that. I hate when people just change definitions to make their subjective point sound more objective. That is a very personal pet peeve of mine. Not just within Yu-Gi-Oh, but in life, too. And, yeah. This card is not a floodgate. It's not. And Sanctifier should be banned instead of this. In my opinion. That's my opinion. Phaeton Cluster Amaryllis. This is an FTK enabler and should be banned. Fishborg Blaster. Not once per turn. Not once per turn. This card is scary for it not being once per turn. Yeah, needs to stay banned. Level Eater. Not once per turn and also FTK enabler. Needs to stay banned. Jin, Releaser of Rituals. This made... Literally the first time a ritual deck was like the best deck in the meta is what got this card banned. And we have had many better ritual decks since then. The fact that this is also a tour guide target is extra not good. So I think this card definitely needs to stay banned. A Poisoner of the Red Lotus. This card could totally come back. Because this card was legal in Master Duel. And, like, I know people played it during, like, Kashtira format, but, like, I don't think it was ever right to main deck this card. Like, even something like Lab, it's like, I don't know, even a Lab decking this off turn 1 is so many hurdles to jump through. I think this card could come back and it'd be completely fine. I know, again, a lot of people really don't like this type of effect. I think it's less about how much you like it and more about, okay, but is it actually good? And I don't really think this card is that great. I'll be honest. Yeah, this card could come back and be completely fine, in my opinion. Tyrant Neptune. This is an FTK enabler. This one cannot come back. Glow Up Bowl. Please. Can we please have this card back? Hulk has been banned for so long now. Glow Up Bowl, come home. I don't even know what deck I would play this in. I really don't. I don't know. Outside of like a 60 card pile mill deck, and I don't even think it'd be super great there, because if you open, well, I guess if you opened it, it wouldn't be that bad. It's so hand dependent. Please, can I have one of these? I mean, this card could be at 3. The difference between, well, I guess the difference between 1 and 3 is that you can mill it a lot more reliably, right? Let's bring this card back to 1. I miss Glow Up Bulb. Vanity's Emptiness, oh my goodness, this card 100% needs to stay banned. Not just because it's a floodgate that stops special summoning outright, but like, because of the second effect, you can just play this in like, whatever. Yeah, no, this card definitely needs to stay banned. Wind Up Hunter. I think this card could probably come back. I'm not familiar enough with Wind Up to know... But that's the thing, like, it doesn't matter how easy the combo is to do, necessarily. Like, if it's a 1-card combo to rip your opponent's whole hand, okay, that might be a little bit too easy, but it also just dies to, like, literally every hand trap under the sun, which is a lot of the issues I had with Auroradon. And I think for that reason, maybe this card could come back. I would need to be more... Somebody who's more familiar with windups than me could probably make a better assertion, but... I think we're long past the days of this and Zen Mighty both need to be banned. Well, Zen Mighty's not banned anymore, right? I don't know. Anyway. Laval Chain, yeah. Yeah, being able to send any card from your deck to the graveyard for 2 level 4s is too good. That should stay banned. Yes. Yes, please keep Shockmaster banned. Eclipse Wyvern, oh my god, not once per turn. Neither of these effects are once per turn. Holy needs to be banned. Holy needs to be banned. Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, I've already talked about how I feel about Sanctifier, so I don't think we need to retread those waters. Soul Charge, yes, 100% needs to stay banned. Mass Monster Reborn is too good. Norden. I mean, if Instant Fusion is banned, we can unban this, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could. And this card is special summoned. I guess this isn't once per turn, so maybe you can... But in order to, like, revive this and do the effect again, you would need to have properly summoned it, right? Is there... I mean, again, if Instant Fusion is banned, then this card doesn't need to be, right? I can't think of a way to really abuse it very easily. So, I think it could come back, but I could be wrong about that one. I could be not remembering something. Oh, Rongo Bongo. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think it should be banned. I think it's fine to ban this. Soulbreaker Armor, this is an FTK enabler, so yep, I'm fine with that being banned. As a thought. Cannot be used... Use an outer entity. See someone your opponent can... Oh, right. Yep. Yeah, I mean... This should probably just stay banned. It's a little easy to summon with a very, very powerful effect if you summon it during your opponent's turn. Doesn't matter, Dragon. Yeah, this one needs to stay banned. Sending, would you believe, foolishing multiple... Well, actually, hang on. So... Oh, it sends them as a cost. That's right. That was one of the things that was really scary about this card. Sending 3 dragon monsters from your deck to the graveyard as a cost. You would need to use 2 level 8s to make this. I know it's a rank 9, but you use 2 level 8s to make a Galaxy Isaac Season, and you throw this on top. That's probably too good. I struggle to kind of figure out how you would incorporate this into Dragon Link, but this probably just creates new dragon decks that are centered around it. But, like, how good is sending 3 dragon... Like, going into a ranking to send 3 dragon monsters with different names from your deck to the graveyard. How good is that? In modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, okay, with Primite Blue Eyes, this might actually be a little bit too good. Maybe, I don't know. I actually don't know how that deck functions. I don't know. I'm going to hesitantly say this one should stay banned. Mostly because I think this card going to 1 would create a lot of new decks around it that might be too good. And it's kind of hard to, like, build those decks on the fly. But, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. No, this one 100% needs to be banned. Do we want Numeron to have turn 1 plays that stop your opponent from being able to play? No. Okay, so. Yeah. This, I can't believe this. I can't believe this last effect. Anyway, yeah, that needs to stay banned. Plush Fire. This one is unban worthy pending an errata, which I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten in Master Duel yet. We got that in the TCG OCG a while ago, didn't we? Yeah, unban worthy pending an errata. Calamity, yeah, should just stay banned, I think. Level 12 synchros are getting a little bit too easy to make for this card to be legal. Bishbalkin, I'm fine with this being banned, even though it's not particularly good. Like all the Cannon Soldier stuff, it's like an FTK enabler, so yeah. Gofu. Yeah, this card needs to be banned, right? Because this card is just like 1-card combos out the wazoo. I mean, the fact that it gives you like... So this could go into a Nightmare Goblin, and you still have a token left over. And I think that might be a little bit too good. Also, you could just do the other effect. Well, you would need to... Yeah, never mind. I thought I was misreading the second effect. No, I think for the first effect, this one's probably still too good. Probably needs to be banned. Can we please just bring this to 1? Listen, I know people are going to be like, now, but Block Dragon never got banned in the OCG. I've actually encountered people who don't know that. I've encountered people who assume this is banned in the OCG, and they're like, Well, that's why Adamantipator doesn't do anything. No, Adamantipator doesn't do anything in the OCG because the deck has been power crept. But it was so much fun. Please, just give us one Block Dragon back. Listen, when this card came out, this card was absolutely overpushed. But in 2025 Modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, I think this card is mostly fine. Mostly, I say it because it can still come back as much as you want, which is really, really good. Like, you can, like, as long as you have rocks in your graveyard, it can just keep coming back. That part is a little bit too good, but, like, all in all, I think this card could really come back to 1. I think it should. Oh, totally awesome. So, if they would just ban Ronin Totem, this card could come back, in my opinion. And also, Sprite Elf would not need to be banned. I think that would be fine, as long as Ronin Totem is banned. Destiny Hero Celestial was a really interesting hit to the DPE engine. But that said, the DPE engine has been pretty long since power crept out of being used in like every deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! As opposed to when it first came out. I think you could bring back Celestial and it would be fine, honestly. Broad Bowl. Alright, this is one of the big ones I wanted to look at here. Once returned, detach 1 material from this card. Add 1 Beast Warrior type monster that can be normal summoned or set from your deck to your hand. Because this is the one that everyone's like, alright, Zodiac's fine as long as we don't bring this one back. But it's like, is that really the case? Like, what does this do? What does this add to the Zodiac strategy that makes it jump from... I would call a Zodiac deck like mid-rogue right now. Makes it jump from mid-rogue to tier 0, right? Just add a Beast Warrior monster? Like add another Zodiac monster? Okay. Can add like the Whiptail and attach as an extra material? Okay. I don't know. I don't see it. I gotta level with you. I don't see it. I have thought about this one for a little bit. Kenny actually left a comment recently saying that Broad Bowl could come back and Zoo would be like maybe tier 2. And I don't even know if it would be tier 2. I'm actually inclined to disagree, but only for that reason. I think it'd be like tier 3. Rapier is another story. I guess we'll get there when we get to it. Wow, we're already at like 40 minutes. Jeez. Okay. Alright, so yeah, Broad Bowl. I'm going to say this could come back to 1, and Zodiac would not be breaking the meta. I could be wrong about that, but I kind of don't think I am, personally. True King of All Calamities. Yeah, this just being a generic rank 9 probably makes it a little bit too accessible. I think ban-worthy is fine. Status for it. Set rotation. Set 2 field spells with different names from your deck on the field. While either of those remain set on the field, neither player can activate or set other field spells. Why is this banned? Because it shuts out your opponent playing field spells? Listen, if you really want to play this in multiple field spells, just get your opponent to not play field spells, I feel like that's fine. Again, unless there's an obvious interaction I'm missing, I don't see why this card is banned at all. Yeah, this one should definitely stay banned. This was the nail that, or this was not the nail in the coffin. This the other way around. This is what made Cashier like way too good. Diablosis is definitely ban-worthy. Hulk is also ban-worthy. Listen, Auroradon might not be a problem by itself, but I don't think that is true of Halki Fibrax. I think this effect is still too good. For a very generic requirement, too. Yeah, I think this card is still ban-worthy. Ibly. I was fine with this hit, and I think still am. Yeah, I mean, especially because this being banned makes it a little more okay for the other Nightmare cards to be legal. I'm okay with this hit. Gumblar. Yeah, I mean, this is like the amount of hand ripping this can do is a little bit disgusting. That's a severe understatement. This card is ban-worthy. It's that generic? I didn't realize there was only 2 effect monsters. Yeah, 100% ban-worthy. LP. Yeah, this is also definitely too ban-worthy. Or too good, and is ban-worthy. Pisty is fine, because it only recurs dragons you've already played, but being able to pull a dragon from the deck is definitely another story. What does this one do? During your main phase, you can special one dragon from your extra deck to an extra deck monster zone or main monster zone that you can summon to that 2 or more link monsters point to. I didn't know they had a link to that summons from the extra deck. Oh my god, this one's also definitely ban worthy in my opinion. Yeah, I don't need to say this one, right? I mean, I probably do. This is just a floodgate that's really good, and at the end of the day, yeah, it's ban worthy. Union Carrier. This is one of those cards that, like, God, it was almost really cool, but it didn't say Union Monster, so then it's really dumb and way too good. Yeah, ban worthy. Link Cross. Yeah, this is definitely ban worthy. I don't know. Yeah, no, don't say that. You know it is. Don't say that. You know it is. Yeah. If this card is Link Summon, you can activate its effects. Special number of Link tokens with Link rating of monsters. Also, you cannot use Link tokens as Link material for the rest of this turn. I think even with that stipulation, this card is just still too good, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is. I don't like it, but this card is ban-worthy. I'm going to move on before I start crying. Pot of Prosperity. I think this was the most recent ban, right? I think this is a ban-worthy for sure. Merly, I think, is still the correct hit to Tier Laments. It was a genius hit, frankly, banning this card. Yeah, I think it's 100% ban-worthy. Perla Rhino. Listen, if they wanted to stop the Aeroshark FTK, I really think they should have just banned Aeroshark. I guess it is debatable, just in general, if this was too good with the Crystal Beast field, the Trap card that searches field spell. I think that card is just also not designed well. But yeah, I hesitantly say, reluctantly is the word, reluctantly say this is ban-worthy, but only for a bunch of mitigating circumstances. Also, they really should just ban, like if we're fine with Cannon Soldier being banned, we should just ban Aeroshark too. Like, that's really the answer there. Brand Expulsion, oh my god. I get that Sanctifier has other functions, but like, come on. Konami knows this effect is not good to have in the game. If Expulsion is ban-worthy, Sanctifier is ban-worthy. Kelbeck and Aguido, please keep these banned. Oh my god. Please keep these banned. Absolutely ban-worthy. And that is the entire ban list. Alright, the limited and especially semi-limited lists are shorter, so I'm going to try to go through these more quickly, because I don't want this to be over an hour long, and we're definitely getting to that point already. So, Exodia limbs, honestly, these could be at 3, and I don't think it would actually make that much of a difference, because, like, running multiple copies of each limb doesn't actually help you get to Exodia any better. In fact, I think it's more of a detriment than anything else, so I think these could go to 3, and it would be fine, but also, I understand why they're at 1 for lore reasons. Ugh. Listen, I think this should be banned. I know a lot of people like Exodia. I know Exodia won't be banned because it's the face of Yu-Gi-Oh! But, like, it's wild to me that people want Isolde banned for enabling Exodia, but then don't want Exodia banned. That is, like, blatant hypocrisy. I think this card should be banned. I think it's stupid, but that's just me. Morphing Jar. This card could be at 3. I don't think it'd make much of a difference. Empty Jar is, again, a long ways away from being good. Feather Duster should probably stay at 1. Yeah, Feather Duster should stay at 1. Just because we already have Lightning Storm and Twin Twisters and so many other things, and putting this card to 3 would just make a lot of things obsolete. Yeah, I think this card should stay at 1. Crow Destruction should absolutely stay at 1. If you have multiples of these, it becomes way, way, way easier to deck your opponent out. Monster Reborn. I think this could come to 3 and it would be completely fine. Nothing would change. Heavy Storm. The only reason I hesitate to say this card couldn't go to 3 is because of like making it really consistent to blow up your own back row might be a little bit too good. I guess also for the same reason Duster should stay at 1, right? There are a lot of other back row cards that still see some amount of play, like Cosmic Cyclone and Twin Twister and such, and putting this to 3 would just make a lot of those obsolete, so this should probably stay at 1. This definitely needs to stay at 1, no question. Rhoda definitely needs to be at 1, no question. Rivalry, like with other floodgates, I'll say, it's more about a critical mass and less about the individual hits. I think this is a fine one to keep at 1, because it's not a 100% guarantee that your opponent can't play through it. Certain decks can. Skill Drain, I think, should be banned, though. I think that banning this and bringing back, like, Kaiser Coliseum would be a little more interesting for the Floodgate ratio. This one is just too, like... I mean, yeah, you can play around it, but, like, only to a certain degree. I guess it's also technically true of Rivalry, but this is more matchup dependent. This is more, like, do you happen to have the out dependent? I think 1 is a fine number for Valsadina. Summon limits, I think, fine to be at 1. This one I could see banning just because it's a really good side deck card, slash, you know, going first card. It's a very splashable Floodgate, much like Skill Drain. Herald could come back to 3. Is about to come back to 3. Yeah. Alright. Welcome back, Herald. Goes in is much like Rivalry. I think this Floodgate is fine to keep at 1 because some decks can play through it. 1 for 1 definitely needs to be at 1. This card is a 1-card enabler for a lot of strategies. Swap Frog. I think if they banned Ronin, this could go back to 3. Gateway of the 6 definitely needs to be at 1 to not enable infinite Bushido counters. Would that even be too good, though? I don't know. It is a multi-card combo. I think this could be at more than 1, and it would be fine. But I understand why people would want it to stay at 1. Duality should stay at 1 for, yeah, consistency reasons. This is an FCK enabler. One is at more than 1, so it's fine to be at 1. Hyper Librarian definitely should only be at 1. Oh my god, having multiples of these out and drawing multiple cards for Synchro Summon is ridiculous. I hate One Day of Peace. I think this card should be banned, personally, because I don't... What deck has ever played this card that wasn't up to some bullshit? Also, Bonfire Jump Scare! Look, it's Bonfire! Bonfires in this card's art. That's wild. Anyway, I think this card should be banned. I understand it being at 1 is fine, but I think it should be banned, personally. That's more of a personal thing, though. Wyvern Burster is about to come back to 3. Yay! Soul Piercer should stay at 1. This is my ultimate, like... This is my ultimate example to go to when people say consistency hits don't do anything. Keep in mind, the Soul Piercer at 1 is the only super heavy samurai hit, and it completely kept that deck in check. Also, a lot of people like to spread misinformation that, but you need 2 Soul Piercer to do full combo. That's not true. That's actually just not true. You can do full combo with 1 Soul Piercer. This consistency hit 100% kept the deck in check, despite what people like to say otherwise. Brilliant Fusion, yeah, this should probably just stay at 1. If it's at 3, it's a really consistent engine. At 1, it's like a really... It's like I was saying with Metamorphosis, right? Like, at 3, it's really consistent. You can plan for it being part of your strategy. At 1, it's like, am I really going to plan on opening this 1-of to enable a minor benefit? It's like, no, not really. So, yeah. Gamma was a very recent limit, but I don't think it's unwarranted. I think this card is really, really strong to be able to negate and destroy and put multiple bodies on the board, and is it once per turn, so Ash Blossom doesn't even stop it? Yeah, I think this card was limit worthy. Omega, I think, is at 1 to stop looping, right? But I think this card could probably be at 3 and it'd be fine. Fairy Tail Snow recently got limited. I think it's fine to limit this card. I know some people who still think this card should be banned. I really don't think that's the case. I think limiting it is totally fine. Desire should be at 1 for consistency reasons. Yep. Rat Pierre. Okay, this is the other big Zodiac hit. So I think Broad Bowl could come back, maybe starting at 1 just to make sure, but I think Broad Bowl could come back and it would be fine as long as Rat Pierre is still limited. But is that true even? Yeah, here's the thing. Rapier lets your Zodiac deck start like going into other combo lines because you can turn any, like, as long as you open Rapier and you have multiple copies in deck, you can normal Rapier go into a Zoo effect for the rat. It's also a soft once per turn, so especially this card being at 3 puts way too many bodies on board. So I will maintain my stance that as long as Rapier stays at 1, I think Broad Bowl could come back and it would be fine. So maybe keeping Rapier at 1 is the thing that keeps Zodiac in check. But at the same time, like, how good is using any Zodiac monster to establish multiple bodies? You'd have to go into, like, Nightmare Goblin into an Orcus combo, and it's like, I don't know, Orcus Zodiac, would that really even be that scary? I think if this card and Broad Bowl were at 3, I don't think Zodiac would be a tier 0 deck. I think it might compete for tier 1 and settle at upper tier 2. Would actually be my honest guess. That sounds crazy, but I mean, you really think about it. Again, every other archetype has these one, and this is like doubly true once like stuff like Malice and Raziel comes out. All these archetypes have their one card combo lines, which are really efficient and allow them to play a ton of hand traps as a result. If you're playing a deck like this Zodiac Orcus, you know, pile deck that and this is coming from somebody who loves pile decks, this pile deck I'm suggesting, you're hindering a lot of what you're able to do in terms of both deck space and the amount of hand traps as a result that you can play. Yeah, okay, so if Rapier stayed at 1, Broad Bowl I think could absolutely come back. But I think even both those cards coming back to 3 would not necessitate Zodiac being the best deck in the format. I think that's true. I think it is. Foolish Burial Goods. I think this card should probably stay at 1. I mean, you know what? Yeah, this card needs to be at 1. That Rainbow Bridge ruined so many. Rainbow Bridge of Salvation was such a mistake. Being able to grab any field spell with that card was a huge mistake. That's one of the main reasons why I think this card should be at 1. Grass tastes bad. I also think it should probably stay at 1. I think it could be at 2 and it would be fine. But I think 1 is also a good spot for it. Astrograph, listen, Pendulum is not something I have a lot of knowledge about. I know this card is really strong, so it should probably be at 1 for that reason, but I'm not a good enough Pendulum player to be able to tell you exactly why this card should be at 1, or why it would be a problem, I guess, if it were at 3. Supreme King Star of Venom is at 1 to stop FTKs, that's fine. Trickstar Reincarnation is about to come back to 3. 5 Rainbow Magician is a Floodgate, that's why it's limited, I think that's fine. Amano Owado is a Floodgate style effect, which is why it's limited, I think that's fine. Nimble Beaver, God, such an unjust hit. Bring it back to 3, please. Inspector Border is a Floodgate, so it's fine for it to be at 1. Tickboo, Floodgate. Electromite, love that this card is legal. TCG should take a page out of their book in this regard. Hornet Drones is about to go to 3. Extrav should be at 1 for consistency reasons. Crossout should be at 1 as long as Max C is legal. Shifter at 1. I'm in favor of this, yeah. I don't think there's much of a difference between 1 and 3 copies of Vert Anaconda. This card could be at 3 and nothing would change. Oh my god, why? This card could be at 3 and literally nothing would change about Mathmech. Impen's about to go to 3, yay. Map should also go to 3. It's not about to, but this card could be at 3 and it would be fine. This card needs to be at 1 for sure. The Runic hits. Listen, I think they could bring Fountain back to 2. Okay, first of all, Destruction could definitely be at 3. I think that'd be fine. I think Fountain could even go back up to 2, and that would be fine as long as... Oh, Tip is at 2, that's right. Listen, if they just need to reverse Fountain and Tip. Fountain could be at 2 as long as Tip is at 1. And then Destruction could be at 2 or 3, but... I don't know why this is the only quick play spell of Runic that's limited. Why Dispel Trap Removal? That's always been really weird to me. Habitus at 1. Yep, definitely Kiklos at 1. I don't really think that makes much of a difference, honestly, between 1 to 3 Kiklos. Wait, that's not true for grind games. Ignore me. Yeah, this definitely needs to be at 1. Soliac at 1. I guess this card being at 1 means you don't mill it as often, which makes your tier deck less consistent. I actually could see this staying limited for that reason, yeah. Keldo and Udora at 1, that is perfectly fine. Magnum Hunt at 1, yep, that is fine. Saronir at 1. I mean, this one could be at 3, and I think it'd be fine, but I also don't disagree with it being at 1. I think this is also more of a critical mass of Bestials type of thing. Fenrir at 1, I 100% agree with. The TCG having this at 3 is insanity to me. I don't think it matters that a Rise Heart is banned. That's like a completely separate issue. Yeah. Delicious Memory. They could put this back up to 2, I think, and it would ultimately be fine. Probably, I don't know, 3 might be a little bit too consistent, but... I think it would be fine in the grand scheme of things. Tier cash, I forgot this was limited. But I think, again, to keep your mills less consistent, I think it's a fine limit, yeah. Rates off at 1, yep. I fully support that. Synchro Zone is a floodgate. Critical mass of those. Snake Eye Ash at 1, deserved. Wanted at 1. I think Diabell should be the card at 1, but I think this is also fine. Poplar at 1, yep, deserved. And there we go, there's a limited list. All right, let's burn through the semi-limited list real fast here. Raigeki could be at 3, it'd be fine. Anti-Spell Fragrance, I think this could be limited, actually. Necroface is at 2 for deck out FCK purposes, so I think that's fine to have it at 2. Gold Sark is about to go back to 1 because of Malice after just going to 2 recently. That's really funny. The Dynamite is at 2 to stop FCKs. That's fine. E-Telly, I think this could be at 3 and it would be fine. There's not really that many decks that abuse it anymore to such a degree that it's worth being on the list. Yeah, I think this could be at 3 and it'd be fine. Quick Launch is about to go to 3 and it'll be fine. Yay. Called by... Listen... If Maxi weren't legal, this card should probably just be banned. But Maxi is legal, so I think having this card at 2 is tentatively fine. Red Reboot, this card should go to 1. It's not that prominent, but it is very good. Silent Mining could go to 3, and MathMech would be completely fine. Lightning Storm was a recent semi-limit, and I don't inherently disagree with it. Peril Exceed could go to 3, and MathMech would still be completely fine. Dark Beckoning Beast was a recent semi-limit. I'm not a big fan of it. I understand it for consistency reasons, but I think hitting the U-Bell cards would be a little bit better. That's because I like Sprite, though. Let's be real. I just like Sprite. It's whatever. I think this hit is whatever. I don't have any strong feelings about it. Same with this. Nadir Servant. This card always is bouncing all over the ban list. It started at 1, then it went to 2, then it went to 3, now back down to 2. Konami does not know what they want to do with this. I think it could be at 3 and it would be fine, but maybe as time goes on that's a little bit less true. I don't know. Alibur honestly could be at 3 and it would be fine. Branded Opening could be at 3 and it'd be fine. Furniture could be at 3 and it would be fine. Runic Tip, I discussed this before, but I think this and Fountain should swap places. Fountain should be at 2, this should be at 1. These Runic semi-limits are all fine to me. Listen, I'm going to try to remain objective here. I really think Blue could come back to 3 and it would be totally fine. Same with Jet. I don't think these cards necessarily need to be semi-limited. Personally, but I also have a huge bias here, so take that for what it's worth. Shiren being at 2, I actually really like that this was the fuser they kept at 2, because it does have some function in pile decks as a bit of a extender slash miller. So I like this card being at 2. Unicorn being at 2 is totally fine, yeah. Airlifter being at, this card could be at 3 and it'd be fine. This should definitely be at 3. I know that it's at 2 for like the Ghost Trick build. I don't think the Ghost Trick build is scary, honestly. Ironically. Same with Perluli. I think it'd be at 3 and it would be fine. Bonfire. Yeah, I understand why this is at 2. I can even understand this going to 1, honestly. It's like Rhoda in that regard. The once per turn clause really does not make a difference at all. Kirin, I'll be real, this could be at 3 and it would be fine. Songen Summoning is about to go to 1. I think that's deserved. Phantom of U-Bell. I still think this should be limited, but I don't think it's that big of a deal at 2. Because the turn 1 combo goes through both copies on turn 1 a lot of the time, and you have to go out of your way to recycle the other copies to have more for grind games, I think that's fine, so. Alright, we did it. We went through the whole ban list. Yay! Alright, so that ended up being longer than I wanted it to be, but hopefully people don't mind. Definitely feel free to let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this style of video. Well, I mean, if you're listening at this point at the end, I imagine you did enjoy this video. Thank you, by the way, for watching something like this all the way through. That is so helpful and means so much to me. You have no idea. But let me know in the comments below if you want to see more like this, or if you have any suggestions for more content like this, potentially. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. So let's go ahead and move on now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's again free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, but more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.